Rick's List, CNN weekday afternoons, 3 Eastern.
Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was speaking at a university, and a student started chanting against him, screaming against him, and screaming against the Basij. I mean, here's the president going to speak at a university where he thinks he's going to be heralded, and instead, listen to this. This is amazing. As we watch this now, let me bring Reza Saya in. He's been following this for years for us, all things Iran. He's joining us from Islamabad. Do you know what they're saying? And can you put this in perspective for us, Reza?
Yeah, Rick, they're basically bad-mouthing President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and bad-mouthing the government. These are students at a Tehran university who don't like President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and some members of the opposition movement. Remember the opposition movement? These were the anti-government protesters that exploded onto the scene after the disputed elections back in June. But they've been quiet for the past few months.
Yeah,
some
but
analysts say that maybe they're done. Maybe they're fizzling out.
But you know what this tells me? And I'm just jumping on, following up on what you were just saying right there. Yeah. Because you and I have done these reports, and you're right. They had fizzled out. But in large measure, that's because whenever the government knew where they were going to be, they would send the Basij in. What seems like what works now is...
No question about it.
Just surprise demonstrations, right?
And they gave the... Yeah, and remember, Rick, President Ahmadinejad makes visits to universities in Tehran, but oftentimes he doesn't announce it. Why? Because he wants to avoid situations like this. He's not very popular in parts of Tehran, especially in university campuses. It's not clear if he made an announcement today that he was going to show up or not. This was some awards ceremony at Shahid Beheshti University, but he showed up and there was a protest. And Rick, this is an indication that this opposition movement that indeed has slowed down, still has some life and is kicking. And it's something that the government has to deal with in the weeks and months to come.
It's the spontaneity of it. It's the spontaneity that makes this, I believe, as newsworthy as it is. Because it's an indication that this thing could spark up at any moment again, at any time, anywhere, right?
Yeah. And you know what sparks the spontaneity? It's the rage, it's the frustration. These are people who still think that this election back in June of last year was fraudulent, and they still think that this is not their rightful president. They came out and they protested peacefully. What did they get? They got beat up. Some of them got death sentences. Some of them were killed. So the frustration is still there, and it's that frustration that sparks the spontaneity. This was not organized. In all likelihood, they didn't know President Ahmadinejad was coming. When he came, bam, this is what you see.
5 demonstrators died over the weekend. You know, these are people who truly believe that they'd like to see their government, their country, go in different directions. Great stuff. I'm so glad we had you, Reza, to put perspective on this story.